Okay, now let's talk about your covert draw, right? So here's the problem with that. I understand what you're trying to accomplish here, and you're kind of like almost trying to negate the draw as being an important factor. The problem is you don't always get to decide what your involvement is in whatever altercation you're inserting your covert draw into. Like if you're the direct, like kind of primary source of someone's aggression, you can't covert draw. You're just slow. At that point, you're just slowly reaching for your gun, and if they have any wits about them, you're smoked, right? The issue here is that this sounds good in theory, but the problem is if you don't know the people around you, and they don't go, and even if they do have an understanding of firearms training, if they don't speak your lingo, you're just another guy they don't know taking your gun out, right? And I'll tell you right now, like if I don't know you and I see that, I'm getting kind of concerned because are you with this dude? Are you going to try to help people? What are you doing, right? So the reality is the fast draw still remains important. We see this in competition. We see this in the real world. We see this off body cameras. We see this off of security cam footage of engagements. The fast draw is always going to be important. There's no way that you can ever say it's not. If you do, you're kind of fucking dumb. So telling people that a fast draw is important, but no, just the fast draw is important, because here's the problem. You don't even have to talk about it. If somebody's in a position where they believe it is tactically advantageous for them to kind of preload the gun in a way, like draw it and kind of keep it at their side or whatever, which has been disproven in law enforcement, by the way. You're not actually proven to be any faster, more accurate, or secure in your hard skill abilities, whether you have the gun already out or you're coming from the draw. That's a myth. That's why you don't see cops approaching, traffic stops at nighttime with their guns down by their sides anymore, because it's been proven, like, no, that's not really a thing. As long as you have a good fundamental draw stroke, you're going to be fine. Kind of my standard for somebody to like try to get to as far as a draw from any type of holster is sub-second, and we get students to sub-second relatively fast through our training courses. I think that you trying to steer the conversation in terms of draw to a preloaded draw that's kind of like slowly like, I'm going to come here and I'm going to fucking, like, no one can see me and I'm going to take my hat off and cover it and all these weird things. Nah, dude. That's not it. That's not how the real world works. That's not a thing. That's not anything that people do. Not even for armed professionals. That's not something that they're looking to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that it's kind of lame. I've never really seen that used as a teaching point before. And I think 100% you are, you're kind of filling the space with a lot of needless bullshit. I think the whole covert draw thing is pointless. Learn how to draw fast. Learn how to draw consistently. Learn how to draw and have your sights on target as soon as you present up. This is my advice to people. Come take an actual training class. Learn how to do it. Let's get to the next and final point. All right. So my final point I'm going to make here, because I could talk about all the, the hardest part about all of this is like limiting myself. So this isn't like a 2-hour long video over 3 to 4 points, because I'm not going to say names, but unlike some people, I've been a professional student in the training space for some time, and I've actually studied this shit. So let's talk about force on force. When you were replying to me in your comment section, your whole basis of argument was, have you done force on force? I have, with quite a few people. EFC training, Bulk Creek Strategic, Rune Nation, Rogue Methods. Not to mention, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Not a good blue belt, but still a blue belt. Respect it. Just kidding about that. But that was the whole basis of like your thing was, well, have you done force on force? Have you done force on force with a rifle? And you start going down this rabbit hole of trying to find something that I haven't done, right? Which surely there has to be something, right? I've never done force on force with like a bow staff, right? I've never done force on force with a like a scythe or a sickle. So there's force on force scenarios I haven't ran through, right? What I do have working for me, though, is a hard development of the hard skills that have shined through in countless force on force trainings. Because guess what? It doesn't matter how good I can roll with somebody on the ground. If they get a gun out first and then I get a gun out and it's relatively the same time, but they have better hard skills than I do under pressure, I lose. That's the whole premise here, is you have to have hard skill development. So I don't really know what your logic was with the argument of like trying to find something I haven't done. Kind of weird, but hey, like you were trying to defend your unjustified point. I get it. I want to talk about your force on force trainings. Let's talk about the, I don't even know, was it a 1-3 minute video, whatever it was, the video that you have posted of your students literally drawing at the same time out in the open and walking with kind of lateral movement. I mean, it's like they're literally they're in a circle, which is technically lateral movement. That's not like how lateral movement's designed to work. If you really want to learn about lateral movement, you should go check out Jay Wadsworth at EFC. He's kind of like, I don't want to say like the godfather of harping on lateral movement, but he's pretty big on it. He's put a lot of work into it, and he's really good at what he talks about. Dude, I don't even know what it was. At one point you had 4 people walking in a circle just shooting sim rounds at each other. And this is the problem, is if you don't put context on something or give some sort of actual role play, it turns into a paintball match. Right? You're having fun. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're using it to try to pass on some sort of knowledge or education, you're failing. So it's weird to me that you're going to lean so hard on force when the only video clip I can find in recent history on your Instagram page is kind of a very weak offering of combatives as a whole, right? And it's also kind of weird that you're so big on force, but yeah, I only see like so many posts about it. But you try to talk about the hard skills or like weapon setups or what people should or shouldn't do. So why lean on force so hard when it's such a small percentage of what you're actually talking about? Right? That's kind of weird. That tells me that you're trying to fit way too many roles here. You're looking to be a jack of all trades, a master of none, which in the training space in 2024 is unacceptable. At least in my opinion. You can have a few things that you're really, really, really good at that you can offer a whole lot of knowledge about. Anybody who's a Swiss Army knife of the training culture, they're not good at it. That's just the reality. That's the reality, man. Like, if you try to be a master of too many things, you'll end up never being a master of any. You have to put the time in. You have to dedicate yourself to a craft, at least for a period of time. Really understand it. Then maybe add something that to just pique your interest. But everything should start as like a personal interest endeavor first. It should never just be like, I'm going to decide to teach rifle and I'm going to learn how to shoot rifle as I learn how to teach rifle. No, that's dishonest. That's not cool. To which we're going to get into my final thoughts here as far as like my opinions of you as an instructor, what you're doing, and this will kind of be my final response to this because I've already wasted a lot of time and I have actual educational content to film. But you wanted a video response, so you're getting one. Let's end this shit. Okay, boss. So, do I think that you're like a bad-hearted human? Not really. I think you're very, very arrogant. I think you're even more ignorant. And, oh man, my nose is running. Oh. And I think you are trying to take money from people without ever putting in that upfront investment first. And that's really important to me. As a student, as an instructor, as an appreciator of the craft of running a gun, it's very important to me that you're as much or if not more invested than I am. And I'm very invested, right? If you look at my friends who I'm instructors with, you'll see that they are also equally invested people. They've put the time in, they continue to put the work in. My issue is this. If you're not teaching with respect to the fundamentals, I don't believe you're really teaching at all. I think you're just talking. And I am not going to pay, especially you of all people, anywhere from $250 to $450 per class. That's steep, bud. To get some sort of mixed bag of experiences instead of a actual driven curriculum of education. The issue here is I think you're trying to put your foot inside the door, trying to take your seat at the table, whatever you want to call it. I think you're trying to do that without paying your dues first, right? Just because you're in the military doesn't mean shit. I already said I appreciate your service, but as far as the civilian training culture, what dues have you paid? You've went to 5 or 6 training classes? What actual research have you done out on the range? What data have you collected for yourself to prove something or disprove something? You don't even have a posted run with a shot timer of you shooting. But you sit here and you're trying to argue and talk down to these other individuals that have put the work in? Dude, you don't even have a video running off a shot timer. You have a video of you shooting a B8 target. Congrats, man. My new goal is to try to do a B8 test in less than 5 seconds at 100%. I've gotten one at 98. My goal is definitively 100 in 5 seconds or less. 10 yards, 10 rounds, sub 5. But I don't even know if you understand what those metrics are. I don't know if you understand what a efficient split time is. I don't know if you understand what an efficient draw time is. You have no content talking about it. You have no videos of you at competition. You have nothing in terms of like you actually running a gun in a practical sense, which here's the funny part. If you're about gunfighting, competition is the closest thing you're going to get to it, man. It is. Like 2-gun, USPSA, IDPA. Your ability to run a gun is being directly measured against all these other human beings, and whoever can run the gun the best is the winner. There's not really a draw in a fucking gunfight, right? There's a winner and a loser. Competition is in fact the closest thing you're going to get. A gunfight is a competition, just like a shooting sport is a competition. If you don't understand that, then there's really no hope for you, because the problem is you're trying to push all these things, but you're rejecting all the things that would substantiate what you're trying to push. It makes no fucking sense. This is the problem with the training culture and everybody being allowed to have a voice anymore, right? Because anybody can decide that they're an instructor at any amount in time. And it makes it hard for those of us that are really trying to put the work in. Dry firing every fucking day. Researching stuff, watching fucking podcast interviews and taking notes with the greats. It's one of those